Hey, welcome, Mike. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
Doing well. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. But like you had a choice, you're going to do it anyways.
Yeah. I
So
feel like my arm was twisted very, very, very firmly.
it was. So everybody gets an introduction. So with us tonight is Mike Burke. He's happily married, owner of some fun cats. He is enthralled with 3D printing, where he enjoys designing and problem solving of world issues. He enjoys woodworking, flies quadcopters, a connoisseur of whiskeys, a traveler in pursuit of great libations, software developer by trade, and most importantly, my bestest and dearest friend. Did I miss anything?
No, that's me.
That's you.
That's more than I think I would have even said for myself. So that's impressive.
Well, like I put a lot of thought into this. Like you're just not an everyday guest.
I kind of forgot about the quadcopters things. I need to get this back out.
Yeah, I know you have other hobbies too, and I was like, going, I could list them, but I could list more, but I didn't know how to hook those in to the beer and stuff, so I left those ones out. But speaking of beer, let's start with your beer origin story. Like, what kind of beer did you start off with that kind of caught your attention?
To start with, I can actually remember the first beer I actually enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
I was 23, 24. I was always like a mixed drinker, and then eventually I got kind of lazy. But we were at a one of oldest friends back in high school. He got married, and at his wedding they had a cooler full of Labatt Blue, just like the normal Labatt Blue.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a drink of that, and I'd never had something that tasted fruity. I've always like had my like a sip or something of like a PBR or whatever my dad ended up having. And I feel like that was like the first time I was like, oh, beer isn't actually terrible. So let's just go down this path. And then like eventually I like moved down south, and the bar by me had like super cheap drinks, and
Right.
I was basically like a beer, like a 32-ounce beer was like, I think it was like $5 or something.
Yeah,
And I'm
good old
like, well,
days.
yeah, I guess I'm staying here because this works. Yeah.
Gets the job done. So I
Yeah.
kind of want to start off with your 3D printing, like I kind of brought up earlier. I think that's a pretty interesting world itself. It's ever evolving. I feel like home brewing as well too. So how'd you get started with the whole 3D printing stuff?
When I first started 3D printing, it was more or less I tried to get like a cheap 3D printer. So I got one like off of Monoprice. It was like, I think it was $120, and I split it with one of the guys at work. And we just had it in the office, and it was just kind of like something to tinker around with.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it was like, it led me down like another path where it was like, okay, I like doing this, but I need to like take it home with me, and I don't really want to like take this like borrowed 3D printer. I don't want to borrow this 3D printer. And it was really tiny. Like it had like a build plate that was probably 4 inches by like 3.5 inches or something. So I couldn't really do a whole lot with it. Then I got into like some bigger ones that were on sale and cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And from there I started to kind of collect them. Everybody makes fun of me because it's like they say when I hobby. So it's like I go like both feet in, buy as much of the stuff as I can, and then try and figure it out later. So that it was I got into it when it was still relatively new, and then like the last printer I got, so I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 7th printer I have.
Oh wow.
I gave one away.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy I gave it to just never ever uses it.
I probably once every 2 months.
But the industry itself has, it basically has come down to like it makes it like super easy to do. So now the work isn't there as much. It's not as much tinkering now. Like I feel like when I first started, most of it ended up being a lot of me trying to fix the 3D printer itself. So technically the one that I got first, it broke, and then I replaced it with a 3D, mainly 3D printed one. But yeah, so that was my 3D printing journey. And now I use it a lot to just like print random like things to like around the house stuff that I use all the time. It's just to solve a problem, basically.
Yeah. So speaking of solving problems, have you considered 3D printing any stuff for your home brewery, like bottle fillers or tap handles or anything like that?
I actually did. I don't have any up here, but I 3D printed some tap handles. I was playing around with designs and finally came up with one that I liked the shape of. Because I have a Keyser in the basement, so I wanted removable tap handles, so I could like push out the back of the tap handle and just replace like the name of it, so I didn't have to unscrew it, because I felt like the more I messed with my taps, even though I got Nuka taps, I feel like the more I messed with them, the more brittle they became, and I actually broke one of the insides of one of them because I spun it around, and it's not meant to be spun around. It's got like a ball in it that will basically is meant to stay this way, and it twisted a little bit, so then it wasn't working right, and it got real gross. So,
interesting.
Yeah, I like, that's about the only thing I do. The bottle fillers and stuff. I don't trust the plastic enough to like have it on something that's going to be touching final product. I did design a sprinkler head for cleaning out like essentially carboys, but like any of the other ones where it's like
the kegs and stuff.
So I like a thin, because I bought some of the I forget what they're called now. They're like the 2-gallon, like basically like a giant 2-liter, but it's like 2 gallons worth.
The keg laying ones.
Yeah, I think that they had like
what are they called?
Reusable. Basically, you could make it a kegger, or you could make it a carbonation thing, but I use that for fermenting apple juice, and then that I clean those out with those, like, because they just have like a normal sized valve or a normal sized hole, so I use the 3D printing to clean. Basically, is about as much as I can get out of that for the most part.
Yeah, I know. Well, that is really cool. Yeah, I remember the sprinkler one that you came up with. I'm drawing a blank on the keg line thing as well too. I could see it in my mind what it is, what you're referring to. Have you thought about trying to incorporate anything else with the 3D printing, or is it, or are you kind of satisfied where you're at with it for now?
I think it's as soon as I find a problem that I can fix with 3D printing, I will be doing it, and then I'll immediately forget that I did it, and then use it like a real product. Because that's what like happens. It's like I 3D printed. I don't have it right now, but I 3D printed like handles for like mugs and stuff.
Yep.
And like I just use it so much that I kind of forget that it's 3D printed.
True, very true. So I mean, besides 3D printing, you also do woodworking as well too. Have you done any woodworking, like making tap handles or shelvings or bottle storage solutions quite yet? I don't know. I don't recall, but I'm just kind of curious if you have yet or not.
My Keyser, the collar around the Keyser, I made it a little bit more sophisticated than I needed to, just to like kind of push the boundary. So I have a 1x2 piece of oak on the bottom. Then I have a probably a 1/4 of an inch piece of plywood on either side, and then I sandwiched another one in between, and then I spray foamed in it. Then I capped it off with another 1x2 of oak, and then I had 2x2s of oak in the corner, to try and create as much of a heat seal, I guess, as I could, just because I was like, I really want this to not be inefficient, and I think it looks cool. Because it's like we finished our basement, so it's in like the kitchen of our basement. I felt like even if I didn't continue in this hobby, at least I would have like a place, so the freezer will fit there if it's just a freezer, but then the kegerator, I think it needed to look cool. Most people don't even realize I made it, because it looks so like professionally built, which it makes me happy, I guess.
So now they will after they watch this podcast, right? So, do you have any other like woodworking projects?
I've been trying to like organize my garage. I brew in my garage, so I'm trying to organize it as best I can so I can get to stuff quickly. And like I'm basically just like where my car is on the very far side of my garage. I have like a fold out shelf that I built to like set my all-in-one on, and then like I bring out a folding table. So like the next thing I want to do, or not a folding table, but like one of those like Costco tables, that big white table that folds all out. The next thing I want to do is I kind of want to get like a stainless steel table without legs, just like the tabletop, and then mount it to the wall so it can swing down, so I can park in it or up, either way. Probably up, so I can have like maybe a little sink in it too, that I can just like plug a hose into and then have it drain into like the yard or the street.
So I'll probably stop you right there because I do have questions on your brewery setup, and we'll kind of revisit that. Okay, so we'll pause right there. That sounds phenomenal. I love the idea so far. But here's what really fascinates me. Right, you are a skilled software developer. You're a woodworker. You're into 3D printing. You could theoretically build a highly automated, high tech brewery. Have you thought about doing anything like that quite yet? No, not yet.
No, okay. I've seen that people use like a Raspberry Pi to like just automatically add stuff at like the right times and wait for temperatures.
That's
and do all that kind of stuff.
Weird.
But
that's cool.
I think that it's a little, so brewing right now for me is the ends justify the means. So like the result that I get, I actually enjoy enough to like go back and do it, because it takes me a good, I would say 6 to 8 hours on a brew day to get a beer, and I like the results thus far. At least of most of the stuff I've done. I've done some mistakes like everybody, but
we'll get to those.
But I don't feel like, I don't think about tying in 3D printing into stuff as much as I like probably could, just because like because I don't think of it for like anything food grade. Like I'm not thinking like I wouldn't, with like microplastics and all that kind of stuff that everybody is like talking about. I don't want to like incorporate that into the beer in any way. So like that whole I'm sure I am anyway, because I'm cleaning it and sanitizing it with stuff that has like has been 3D printed, but I'm still kind of scared of doing it in any kind of process. And well, I take that back now that I'm saying that. I have a the sparge tube that goes out. It hits like there's like a Kegland sells like a little it's like a black hose that goes down and it sprays out. I don't know what that's called. But I 3D printed out of like a super high melt point plastic, so I could screw it to the top, so it like sits on the top and it just like sprays straight down, instead of just like having it float in there. So I do use that every time.
Well, that's interesting. I've seen people.
I probably should post those like STLs.
I mean,
stuff that I've made that people would actually use
for sure. Yeah, I've seen people use like a stainless steel washer to kind of deflect the water till it kind of sprays in more of an even pattern. Of course, you want to use stainless steel because if you use anything else, it'll just rust, right? And then you'll get not so good tasting beer at all. Man, why does this taste very metallic? Oh, this is why. So like
zinc tastes disgusting.
Oh, yes, it does. So I brought up whiskey earlier, so I kind of want to switch to that just a little bit, and we'll kind of get back into the whole homebrew stuff. But so what came first? Was it beer then whiskey, or did you like whiskey before beer? Like how did that come about?
That's a good question. So as I discussed earlier, when I hobby. My wife and I discovered that we really enjoyed barrel-aged beer. So we are in like the Detroit area. So there was a Founders out here, and there's one in like the Grand Rapids area. So then a lot of the local like bars will have just kegs of stuff. And we had one at the end of our street that had Curmudgeon's Better Half on tap.
A good one.
And I had heard of it. I'd heard of oh no, I think it was Curmudgeon's. Now I'm whatever. It was either Curmudgeon's or their Backwoods Bastard. One of those two. I think it was Backwoods Bastard. And I tried because I knew I liked normal Dirty Bastard, which is their non-barrel aged version. So I'm like, I'll try that. And it's just like a sweet, heavenly drink. It's about 14% ABV. So like it'll give you a kick. And it's the first time I've actually like enjoyed like letting my beer warm up. Most of the time I try and drink it as fast as possible in as short a time as possible, because I want it to be as close to like 34 degrees as possible. But then my wife tried it and she actually also enjoyed it. And then we had Curmudgeon's Better Half, which surprisingly was from like 2018-ish. And I have some left over, and that is delicious. So we have like in our basement, we have like a big giant closet full of barrel-aged beer and now bourbon. So the barrel-aged beer, as many of you already know, is basically just aged in a barrel, typically bourbon barrel. So it's like bourbon barrel-aged, but it can just be barrel-aged in anything. Like I've seen tequila barrel-aged stuff and other things like that. But so going from that hobby that I filled to, I forget what the IKEA name for it is. Maybe it's Marcus. The bookshelves are a specific thing, and I'm drawing a blank on that. But basically 2 of those bookshelves full of barrel-aged beer, and then started collecting bourbon. So then,
top of it.
So because I was like, okay, these are like, okay, well, this is done in like a Blanton's barrel, or this is done in this kind of thing. And I really like the flavor of this beer compared to like the same exact beer, the same exact recipe. Obviously, none of them are going to be the exact same, but the same exact recipe with a different like Eagle Rare or something of that nature. So I'm like, so I started off like trying to find those, and turns out those were at least really, really difficult to find. So then I kind of shifted gears and like just started looking for profiles, tasting things, and like I would go to like the bars and try it. But it was like you go to a bar and have like basically an ounce or two of like a shot essentially of whatever this bourbon is, and then it was like, cool, well that was like $20 and I could have bought the entire bottle for like 40. So I guess I'll just start buying them, and 180 bottles later, and here I am.
It's okay. So hobbied. So you being hobbied.
Yeah.
What is your preferred style? Is it bourbon, Scotch, rye?
Just bourbon. I will go rye. I'll do rye a little bit in a but I think that for the most part, I don't like Scotch at all. Scotch tastes like Band-Aid water to me, which is weird.
I've never described that. I've heard like vegetable. There you go.
Vegetal. Yeah. It's weird.
So
it ruined my beer.
Is there any favorite distillers or bottles that you would recommend to someone who maybe wanting to try a bourbon?
Yeah. Angel's Envy is
what
just happened? Oh, this thing shut off. Oh, sorry. It's a good easy sipper. It's got some additional like it's finished, so it's port finish. So they actually like take the bourbon and then finish it, put it in a port barrel, and then kind of go from there. And so that's a little bit. It's a lower ABV and it's a little bit lighter flavor profile. That technically is. So there's like a few major distilleries, and then that one is a it's pulling from I don't even know what they're called, but like contract distiller essentially. So like it's they call it MGP. It's in Illinois. So then anything of that nature is basically kind of the same thing. And then my favorite is probably Buffalo Trace from Buffalo Trace's distillery. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but obviously. that one tends to be a little bit lighter. It's about 90 proof, and it's an easy drinker, and I feel like that's starting to become easy to find at about like $27. So it's not a
Buffalo
very
Trace,
expensive.
yeah. Just like that Buffalo Trace old fashioned that I like, and I can find it pretty almost everywhere I've been to so far, which is nice because I enjoy it. So speaking of distillery tours, what have been some of your more interesting ones that you've done? I know you've been on a few so far.
I feel like sorry, I forget the name of it. We went down to the Whiskey Row,
Bourbon Trail.
Yeah, the Bourbon Trail down there, and it's the distillery, like they have like a little tiny distillery like downtown there, and they have like I think it's like a 3-story still, like a copper still that they use, and then they even do some of their like I don't think they do a ton of their stuff there, but they still like make they have their own cooperage, so they make their own barrels in house. So it was like kind of cool
Oh,
to like see the
interesting.
barrel be
Yeah.
made,
Yeah.
and then like kind of see the whiskey. And then you tried, they call it White Dog, I think. Basically the bourbon before it's bourbon, it's just like a clear white liquid, or clear liquid. There's no white to it. But that was pretty disgusting actually. So like a lot of the flavors come from the aging process and um the like from the barrel, like the char in the barrel and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. And like the fact that like bourbon um has to be made with like new oak barrels, like it can't be anything else. And I'm like, that just seems wasteful, but I get it, I guess. That's why it's
Right.
like difficult to get the same exact thing every single time.
So that's interesting. So as you're just sampling these bourbons on the bourbon trail or wherever you're at, do you have a particular like flavor profile in mind that you're going for?
I mean, yes, but it's hard to kind of pinpoint that. Um, you're looking for like smooth. It's more of like the smoother it is at the highest proof you can get, I feel like is the most flavor. Because some stuff will, and I mean, a lot of people feel this way about anything like that. It's like it just burns the second you like it touches your mouth and then you swallow it. They call that the Kentucky hug. But I think that I'm looking for like a fruitier profile because some of them start to get floral and some of the ryes start to get what I like, well, not even just ryes, but some of them get like a like dill type flavor, and I hate the smell of dill for some reason. So I like pickles, I like dill pickles and stuff, but like the smell of like raw dill,
Just the herb itself. That's
yeah,
interesting.
I just don't care for it. So
Hmm.
I don't like that part of it. But for the most part, um a lot of them tend to be the same flavors, just with like a very like the age statements and stuff like that. That tends to cause it to um taste differently, I guess.
Right. So like I said, I want to talk about whiskey and I want to tie this back into beer. So you went to FOBAB, the Festival of Barrel Aged Beers, right? Can you
Yep.
explain to us what that actually is?
Terrifying.
Fair enough. On to the next question.
It's yeah, it's like hundreds of beers from different breweries that are everything's barrel aged, so like from between barrel aged cider, barrel aged lagers, all the way to barrel
Wow.
aged like double stouts, and
Mhm.
I think they have barrel aged IPAs, so like literally every category of beer. Mead, I think they might have too. And seltzers, which is weird. I didn't know they could barrel age a seltzer, but they had
See why
those.
not? Yeah.
Um, and it's like it's in Chicago. It's in November. So we just did it 3 months ago. I don't know when this is going to come out.
Did you just say a
Today's
month
date
ago?
is no, I'm just kidding. So it was quite a bit of fun. I didn't know how to control myself the first time
Mm.
or the second time or the third time, but the fourth or fifth time, it was a lot easier because like you get there, you try it. If you don't like it, dump it out
Yeah.
because there are like hundreds of samples. They are not shy. They will fill your glass. Like, okay, well, no. And they're all like between 14 and 22% alcohol. And you're like, I'll die.
They're just trying to get rid of it. That's what they're doing because they don't want to bring it back.
Right. Yeah. There's like a vote for it and stuff. And then like they get like a barrel top, like the top of a barrel. That's like
Oh,
that
okay.
year's stuff. And I
Oh,
think it's
that's
signed by the
cool.
judges or something. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I like that idea. So, did you bring any back with you? I don't think we talked about this at all.
No,
Not this year? Okay.
we brought a ton back the first few times. Like the first time, my wife couldn't go with us, and so everything I tried that I liked, I wanted to bring home for her. So like we have just a ton of stuff, and then then we both went and we both liked it, and we both brought home stuff, and then the next time we were like, okay, well, let's just only bring home like one or two things. And then like this year, I'm like, I'm not going to bring anything back. Like we have so much beer in our back. And the problem is they last a good 5 years,
Right. Yeah.
but when we started going in 2019, that quickly became 5 years. And now we have stuff from like 2019, 2018 sitting in our thing. Like we were saving it, but then I don't know what the hell we were saving it for. And now we're like, and you can't just like drink that on like a Tuesday night or something. Like just I'll have a beer when it's a 17% alcohol beer at 16 ounces. Yeah, I guess you could.
You might not like yourself the next day, but you probably could. So what's the relationship between appreciating like a good whiskey and appreciating like a good barrel aged stout or a barley one?
I think it's very similar. I think that there are, like you're looking for notes. Like I think that I could tell you more of what I'm looking for in a barrel aged beer because there is a lot bigger variety. So like in a typical stout, you get a like cold coffee flavor to some extent. It's very, very chocolatey, very coffee forward, and then they start adding other things to it. Typically I would like again, it's more fruity. I like a sweeter but not fake sweet. So I think that if you start adding milk sugars, like lactose and stuff, it starts to taste a little less real. And then you like a lot of time if you overdo it, and then non-fermentable sugars, some of them do to like get the pastry stouts, and some beers can get super, super, super kind of gross in that regard. In my opinion, obviously there's a market for it because some people like that, but like to me, and I'm very sensitive to like the off flavors of milk sugar, not so much milk sugar, but like any like fructose. Or not fructose, but the lactose and the non-fermentable sugars like aspartame or sucralose or
the xylitol.
What's the one that's agave?
Agave
is probably one of the worst ones for me in a beer, I think.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. So if someone was looking to try like a barrel aged beer, and granted, you can't get them, you can't get all these everywhere, but like which one would you recommend?
My highest recommended beer, I think, is just the plain Bourbon County. It's by Goose Island, and I think that is it's a pretty widespread one, and just their base beer, it's like a 16-ounce beer, and it's probably it should be about like $13 to $15.
Yeah, give or
so
take,
it's like it can be more expensive, but it's not worth more than that. But I think that is what I think all of them should start. Like that should be the base flavor profile that you try and hit. And they're doing a really good job there. And that's a Chicago brewery is Goose Island. They have a lot of beers. They did all like the Beer Hug series or the Bear Hug ones. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I want to say I think I got paid like $12 for mine. I think they were like just a bit cheaper. I think when I first found it was down in South Carolina. I think I paid like 16 for it, but it was the first time I saw it. So like, I'm gonna grab it because I'm not seeing it anywhere around here other than there's a local liquor store and they have a plethora, but they still have a bunch from last year, like the flavored ones. But they still want top dollar. They still want like $23 to $30.
Well, I think that's how much they cost. I think they're like. I think they're $23, like MSRP, at least but like I've gotten them. So like when I was down in Indiana, they must have gotten them cheaper because it was like right there by Illinois.
Right.
I got a bunch of the ones for like I think the main one I got for like $5 or something, or $4.99.
Wow.
So I bought like a case of it.
Heck
well, this is like way cheaper. So like, but then that was the thing. It's like now, so that's not even in the shelf. Like right now, that's like sitting on the floor next to the shelf because I'm like, I can't even put some of this barrel aged beer up there. So that's why this year we're like, nope, and we tried to have a party. We called it Satbab. It was a Saturday after Thanksgiving barrel aged beer to just kind of play off of Fobab, and we like have a bunch of friends that do the same thing, and so like we're like, okay, well here's the like 15 beers that we're gonna drink, and then people showed up with like 2 or 3 beers themselves, and now I have the same amount of beer in my fridge that I started with, and like other people's stuff that they didn't want to drink. I was like, you jerks.
So like in our early 20s, that'd be great when people brought extra beer. We had beer left over from the party, but when you're in your mid 40s, you want to get rid of the stuff. Don't bring me more.
Right. I'm like, I enjoy it. But like I said, when you try and open, and especially if you're like, a lot of these guys, they're like significant others don't drink. the barrel aged beer. So like when they have like a 20 ounce or a 16 to 20 ounce version of it, and then it's like, cool, well, if I open this 16 ounce 18% beer, I'm gonna have to drink it because like,
Yeah.
and that's I think partially where like I liked bourbon because then the bourbon you can just like put a cork in it and just have a little tiny bit and you don't have to worry
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
And then the beers can be, some of the beers that we got can be up to like $50, I think, for a beer. And I'm just like, I wouldn't, and it, if you think about it like a wine, I suppose, then like there is like the value aspect of it. But to me, I'm like, I have a hard time with a $50 20 ounce beer. I'm just like, this better be the best thing I've ever had.
I've yet to do that myself. I don't think I could justify that. Oh, man, I would shoot myself. There's a place in Nashville called the Beer Garden. When I'll have to take you guys to when you guys come down here. But they have like a beer on there that was like $60 or $70. Like, I don't want to buy it, but I would split it with somebody probably just to see what it tastes like. Because I am curious, but I won't buy it by myself. So let's get into your home brewing journey here. So how did you get into home brewing? Who was the
I
one
had a
that pushed you
buddy
over the edge?
that wouldn't stop. He wouldn't shut up about it. And he
Man.
just kept sending me beer, which, I mean, nope, cut that. I was able to get beer from him that was actually not shitty. And I needed to figure out how that was. It didn't take a lot because it was like a hobby that I wanted to get into. And I had dreams of basically making not so much a brewery, but like a bar in my basement. Like I wanted a pool table and a dartboard and like the kegerator and stuff. And then you showed me the Keyser, which was a non-destructive way. So a lot of my I don't know if it's a motto or a philosophy is to be non-destructive. When I do something, I don't want to like I want to be able to put it back to the way it was. It's like I don't want to like cut a hole in something and then be like, well, I want to use this as a freezer again. Too bad you cut a hole in it. So the idea of a Keyser was way more appealing to me because then it's non-destructive. You just basically lift the top of the thing up and then you can use the collar to do all your holes and do anything you want to do in there. So that made it a little bit easier of a decision. And then I'm a convenience as a developer. I want to find the shortest, like point A to point B route. And you started to talk about these new all-in-ones brewing systems that existed. And I think that was the tipping point of me being like, okay, well, I can do this now. Because I was just like, I don't want to spend. Well, actually, the tipping point was getting a bunch of some old brewer that was like getting out of the thing or died or I don't know. It was a friend of a friend, so I don't really know whose equipment it was. And then they had the mill. So I think that my journey started at all grain, basically brew in a bag. And if it hadn't, I don't think I would still be doing it, actually.
Right.
Because I don't feel like I would have liked if I were doing, don't get me wrong, I think you can probably make a good beer with the extractions or with the dry malt extract, but I don't think I would have liked it enough to continue down the path of like doing it. And I almost didn't based on my first brewing experience, but
we'll get into that here soon.
Yeah.
That's on the list.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I think I'm gonna skip that question for right now. You've covered a lot here. So let's kind of go back to your Keyser. Let's kind of start there. So you converted a chest freezer for those that they don't know. But don't you have two? Don't you have one for serving and one for fermenting as well too? You're correct?
Yeah. I bought like a 7.5 cubic foot freezer. So it's like a big ass freezer.
Yeah.
And then I turned that one into my kegerator. So I could fit 6 corny kegs side by side. And then if I could, and I'm trying to take the CO2 out of there, I'd be able to fit 2 more 2.5 gallons in there. So I could have up to potentially 8 beers and or things on tap at once. I only have 4 right now, 4 actual tap handles, and I don't want to mess with it anymore. So I don't think I'm ever going to do that, but I can fit a full keg in there with 2 more two more corny kegs in there.
Oh,
So,
like a commercial keg.
yeah.
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 There you
So
go.
I have all like the stuff and I'm like, part of me is like, I've done it enough to know where like I'm at with this hobby. And I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, I'm trying to get somewhere. Like I can make one or two that are good, but then I'm like, I don't know that I have the skill level or the patience, I guess, is more likely the actual problem to try and perfect something.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't work out, I tend to just kind of get discouraged and give up on it. But then the reason I got that second keezer, well,
Mm.
I didn't make it a keezer specifically because it doesn't actually serve any beer, but I did have to make the collar and stuff that goes around it. So I bought like a smaller one. I think I bought the next size up or the next size down on accident because I had measured everything and it was supposed to fit. And then I think that they had a sale on like Black Friday 2 years ago that like was like the whatever one I thought I was looking at was like $150 or something. I was like, holy crap, that's a really good deal. But then when I got it home and put the Firmzilla in there, it didn't fit all the way to the bottom. So it was like I had to set it on the top of the first one I did it, I just tipped it in the side so it would fit down in there crooked and I could shut it. And I use it more for cold crashing my beers than I do for fermenting. I fermented one
Okay.
my Oktoberfest this year. I fermented in there. But for the most part, I just like I use it hooked up to like a controller or whatever to control the temperature, and then I just drop the temperature down slowly in there, which I feel like it's worthless. I watched a lot of YouTube videos, and the Brewlosophy was like, here are like we're gonna try all these things, and then like everything was inconclusive by the end of it. It's like all this like
yeah.
we did it for 30 minutes, we did it for an hour, we did it for an hour and a half, and turns out you can't tell the difference. And I'm like, oh well, apparently. But cold crashing, I feel like there's a lot of stuff in there that I am just scratching the surface on.
Yeah.
But then like I'm kind of too lazy to go any deeper into it just because I don't want to fight with myself and then like have something fail and then me like have too many variables that I change to like get back to where I was. So I feel like that's where I've tried to eliminate the variables and see what I like and find out what I like and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think that's where me and you differed a little bit. Like I like to experiment and see kind of what may or may not happen with certain styles. Beer is a little more temperamental, I guess. That way you can, a lot of your experimenting has to be up front. You can't really do a lot of post experimenting, right? Like you can do some dry hopping if you want to try to get like different flavors or smells from hops and stuff like that, but like you're kind of limited. So you brought up temp control. Like, how critical is that to you?
I do. So I think that I was struggling to get my beer to kick off in the wintertime when I made a Kolsch.
Was it too cold?
And so yeah, so I had to quick buy a heater. I actually when I was waiting for the one from Amazon to arrive, I ended up just like having a floor heater that I was like blowing on it. Because it just wasn't doing anything because it was about 64 or 65 degrees in the back room of my basement. And it wants to be around like between 68 and 70 degrees. So I feel like that made a huge difference. And then the Oktoberfest, I think it was just, I needed to, it kicked off and everything fermented perfectly. But when I tried to drop it, I forgot to I didn't even know I was supposed to raise the temperature up for like a day to like 60 or not 60, but like 68
So
degrees or
somewhere
somewhere
around
there.
Yeah. Yep.
And then let that sit to kind of have it like dissipate some of the off gases. But ultimately I think that it's doing that on its own with age, so that the longer it sits in the keezer, the more clear it gets. And
so that's where I failed on my Oktoberfest. It's called a diacetyl rest. I didn't know about that. So if you didn't do that, right, so where I didn't, you could potentially get butter flavor or toffee. And I got a little bit of toffee. So when I entered that into a competition, I came in second. I tied for second for that one. And I liked it. I thought it was good because I tasted toffee. But one person told me, I was like, how I taste butter. I'm like, okay. He's like, did you do a diacetyl rest? I'm like, what is that? And then he explained it to me. I was like, I did not do that. I just, I had it fermenting at whatever 55 degrees or so, and then I kegged it, and then here we are. But it didn't get better with age. It actually got worse. The toffee turned to butter, and then it just tasted horrible. I couldn't even explain what it tastes like, so I ended up pitching that. But like I've said a few times, so I have no problem throwing away beer, because I'd rather move on to the next beer I make, because I have a list that's forever long of styles I want to try. So I cut you off earlier, about 20 minutes ago, talking about your brewing setup. Okay, you're at Brew Day. So when you set up for Brew Day, like what are all the steps you have to go through to get your area all good and proper?
Well, it turns out, so what I do to start with is I will fill like I'll fill 2 5-gallon buckets up with hot water,
Okay.
about probably 2/3 full. Well, between half and 2/3.
Mhm.
And then I'll put the in one of them and then dump it in the Brewzilla and then let it just kind of circulate through there to clean it out.
That's a good
And then I
idea.
let it get up to temp. So I let it get up to about 150 degrees, 152 degrees, while I'm getting everything else out. So, like a few days beforehand, I will have gotten water out of my tap that is dechlorinated. Essentially, I have a charcoal filter, but I have Detroit City water, so it's a relatively high quality water that I like the taste of.
Mhm.
So I've just been using that, no additives. But then I take that and put it in old apple juice. I have a lot of apple juice containers for some reason. So like 1-gallon apple juice containers that I put like 7 gallons in. So I like start the wash and then I bring up the water and like everything else from downstairs. And then I swap the PPW out. I fill the bucket back up and then start washing other stuff off while the sanitizer's in there kind of stirring around and making bubbles. So then that is what I'll do in that scenario. And then once I get to that point, I add the water and the Candem tablet to the Brewzilla and then like try and heat that up. And while that's heating up, I'll grind the mash or I'll grind the grain to put in for the mash. So that's basically my startup, but I feel like I'm running around like a chicken with its head cut off for like the first 2 hours, like up and down the stairs, up and down the stairs, up and down the
Sounds like
stairs.
a lot of
Like,
work.
I keep forgetting like what shit I'm like, I forgot whatever. I was like, I gotta go down there. So like this last time I put everything back in one box and I'm like, okay, this is the box. And then I'm like, if I need anything in this box, I need to order a new one and just have another one that's like downstairs or whatever. Cause it's like, I need a cleaning brush or something. It's like, I can't be
Gotcha.
using, so I'll take it out, clean something and then leave it wherever the hell it was. Cause ADD. But yeah, that's like the beginning of it. And then it's just kind of a sit and wait game.
Okay, so what other things? So you brought up, you think about getting maybe a potential like a stainless steel table, modifying. So what were you leading into that story?
I'm just basically, I want to have like my setup kind of available and like basically fold it into the wall,
Gotcha.
so that I can quickly just assemble it, but I never really use it otherwise. Like I'm never using like, cause I want to be able to park my car in the garage. I don't want to have like a permanent setup. So I don't have everything out there. Well, I had a mouse get into our garage from like a couple of months ago. And then because I was planning on brewing soon, I had all my stuff out there. And then I had like a mouse turd at the bottom of my thing. And I'm like, well, guess I'm going to spend 2 hours doing this today. This is fun. Like cleaning the shit out of
Nice.
everything. And I was unhappy. So now it's all in the basement, where we have no mice. Hopefully we have cats, so we probably don't have mice.
Hopefully, unless your cats are lazy or hides all the time.
I mean, they are.
One thing I was just thinking, I think it'd be kind of cool. Like you have pretty high ceilings in your garage, because I've been to your house. It'd be kind of cool if you had like a winch system and just have a platform you put all your stuff on and just lower it down for Brew Day, clean it all up, and just raise it back up and be done with that. I think that'd be kind of a neat little project.
Yeah, I was thinking. So I actually did install a winch in my garage on the ceiling of my garage to like lift the mash tun out.
Heck yeah.
Because it weighs friggin' way too much. And I'm not getting any younger. But
Yeah, fortunately.
I was like debating like trying to I don't like the smell of the brew day once it gets to the hop addition, and that's when it's boiling and it's making the most smell. I do not like the smell of hops for some reason, so that's probably why I don't like IPAs and stuff like that. But
No, fair enough.
it doesn't smell as good to me, so like I actually start opening up windows and stuff in the garage when that happens. So I would have to have a pretty good like vac system, yeah, like, and I could probably do it, and like I could probably get the whole setup to like live in one of the back closets, like the furnace room, and then just like cut a hole out to the outside in there, and then
just have a hood
that
and
be,
suck it all out.
yeah, and just like leave it all just basically set up all the time, because that's the biggest, I think the issue is that I clean so what takes me the longest is cleaning.
Oh, 100%.
And then I wait, or getting the basically getting the water up to temperatures to get it to 152 or whatever I'm going to mash at is like, it's a good like hour basically. I think I wrote it down the last time to see what it was, and the same getting it to boil takes about an hour. So I think that's one of my bigger regrets. It was not getting a 20 amp all-in-one, or the 220 volt one.
Yeah.
But I don't regret it. It's just time, obviously. But I think that I don't think I would ever buy something different, but I do wish I would have gotten one from.
Talked to a couple of people so far. What they do is they'll actually have all the water, everything already set up the night before, and they just have a timer, and it kicks it on about an hour before they plan on getting out there. So it's already up to, or pretty much up to temp, or getting up to temp, so they can just go about their brew day, which I think that's a great idea too. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I like having my water. I guess it would still be pretty hot. Well, no, I feel like
well, you do extra steps though too. You're cleaning, sanitizing, then starting your brew day.
Right. So I feel like I probably could do it that way if I didn't. I'm just so paranoid about like infection, even though it really doesn't matter that much in your mash, because it's going to boil it all out anyway. So you're going to kill any bacteria that's in there to begin with. But I'm just like, it grosses me out to like think that I didn't, like, if I didn't,
you
like,
skipped a step somewhere.
It.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Like, yeah, like if I haven't touched my kettle for like more than a few weeks or a month or so, I rewash it, even though a lid's on it and everything. It's just, I just rewash it just to make sure. I'll even tear it apart sometimes and clean all the pipes, and I'll re-tape everything together and get it all set up and ready to go. That's always been an extra little fun day. That's when I discovered some stuff too, which I've talked about before previously on podcasts, but basically I'll sum it up pretty quick. But it's a brew day. I poured it in the water. It's heating up. I go grab some other stuff. I come back and I saw these floating brown chunks of stuff like flakes. I'm like, what are you? It surely didn't come out of the distilled water, or maybe it did. I have no idea. So I dumped it, go run back into the store, go get more distilled water, come back, fill it up again. I go back and do another stuff, come back, and there's still chunks floating around. I'm like, what the hell is this stuff? Well, what happened on the ball valve on the back side of it had buildup of wort. After a couple of different brews, it just kind of built up that I thought I was cleaning up, but the brush obviously never really washed. So now when I cleaned it all out, I tear it all apart. I get in there and I have like two different brushes. I have a big brush I go through and I ram it all the way through. Then I have this little tiny brush. I kind of scrape the edges, make sure everything's out, and usually let it soak for. So sometimes I'll even let it soak overnight in PBW, especially if it's a darker beer, just to kind of get some of that stuff kind of cleaned up. Kind of want to go back to the Keyser for a second. So if somebody with very little skills, is this a project do you think they could handle? It doesn't have to be as perfected as yours is, but something like really simple. Like, what kind of skill sets do you think they would have to have?
I think it's a relatively easy thing. The one I made for my secondary one was just out of 2x10, I think, because I needed it to be extra tall. But like 2x6 or 2x8 will probably be enough. All you had to do is measure like the height of your, basically the hinge, like however far the hinge is, that's the minimum height you would need. And I put a little bit extra of like that bubble insulation stuff on the inside, and I glued that down just to be extra like cautious, because I'm just like, first of all, like paint for whatever reason is super expensive. So I'm just like cheap. I'm like the cheapest like person that you'll meet until it's like, which is weird, because then it's like a hobby and it's like, no, here's all my money, take all my money. But then it's like a sub part of the hobby. It's like, well, I need this for this thing. How can I make it for the cheapest possible way? And I think that is like because paint, for whatever reason, I was like, oh, I'll get marine paint. And it was like a
Right.
little tiny thing of marine paint because I'm like, well, it's got to handle all the stuff. It was like $55. I was like, nope, I'll rattle can this shit. And then just like I put like a normal not epoxy but like a varnish or whatever on it at the end, so
Oh, yeah.
like it
Yep.
sealed it all in, but I wanted it to
Looks
match
good.
I wanted it to match the other one, or the outside just to be white so it looks like because I was looking for even like because they have appliance paint too, which is super expensive, so it's like, nope, I'm gonna go with this outdoor Rust-Oleum because that's all I needed,
I,
which
I
was
think,
also expensive, but not
yeah, I think that appliance paint, I think it actually hardens. I think that's why it costs so much. I think it's not weird, but a unique chemical reaction that happens over time. Have you ever thought about doing your own barrel aged beer? Because I tried to make one for you, couple years ago now, 3 years ago. It was okay when you first drank it, but after a while it turned rancid. And I'll tell that story some other time. But have you ever considered trying one yet?
No. I feel like I make 5-gallon batches of beer just because
Mm-hmm.
I want to drink it. And like I said, now I would do a barrel aged cider.
Okay.
In that I don't really want to, because like if I can't perfect the sweet stout kind of flavors that I like, that's something that I feel like is going to take a lot of practice, and I don't really like stouts enough to like practice.
Makes sense. Yep.
So I think that because I think that a lot of the online recipes and kits that you're going to get are going to cheat a little bit and then get like the whatever that double X black stuff that tastes
Oh,
like licorice,
yeah, I'm drawing a blank on it.
one of
I know what you're about.
those grains that are just like, this is kind of gross, because I've had some that are like dark as night and I'm like, this isn't something that I enjoy, so I'm too afraid to like, because it's a big grain day. Like that's like
Mm-hmm.
20 pounds of grain for like a 3-gallon batch, essentially,
Right.
to get to a beer that starts at like 12% or 15. And then like, because you, at least from what I would never probably want to do it in like an actual barrel, because like the little barrels are still like 15 gallons or something, like a barrel that you would use from, well, I don't remember, because we saw that
Well,
one.
Paris, Paris, Kentucky had 5-gallon barrels for like $100.
Yeah,
But that
that
was,
might be fun to try.
yeah.
Um, I think that would be a fun experiment. But again, I would have to perfect the beer that goes in there, because like you're gonna get one, maybe 2 uses out of that, and it's gonna start to kind of off flavor, I would think.
I think a
Because you're just
cider would be
gonna like,
awesome. Maybe make an imperial
yeah,
cider and try that, right? It's all like, yeah, I get like a 12% cider, 10% cider, and just chuck it in there and see what happens. That'd be kind of cool.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Like so,
you probably would have
yeah.
to top it off every once in a while. Come to think about it, that's one thing I learned when we did a barrel aged
Is on.
saison that we did that they had to go back and fill it because we lost a lot just to like evaporation and barrels soaking up a bunch and all that kind of stuff though too. So that's something to kind of think about if you ever do go down that route.
Yeah, I think I would cheat and do it with like the fried like staves, like where you just like basically bake a stave and then add your bourbon that you like, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd probably just do it that way.
That'd be cool.
If I ever did it.
Well, yeah, then you could do a bunch of like little experiments, right? So you could take your cider when it's done, right? Because you do this afterwards. So you could get like, let's say you do a 5-gallon batch, you could do 1 gallon. You could try like, oh, I like my Angel's Envy, and there's Elijah, here's Buffalo Trace, and here's this, and like see which one you actually like the best, and be like, okay, this is going to be my new cider from now on. And but I've asked this question a few times to other people. So, do you have a house beer that you make quite often, and why that style?
Yes. Kolsch has been my house beer. It turns out, well, I've almost finished it, but it turns out pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
It uh it was the it was the reason I started brewing it. I tasted one and I was like, oh, this is good. And it's like obviously a clone because it's not from Cologne, Germany. So um there's a lot of like sweetness and malty flavors to it. So it's not as like bitter or off-putting.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
actually got the kit from more brewing, or more beer.
More beer, yeah.
There's a brewery in Ohio or in Chicago called Moore. So that's they do a really, really good barrel aged stuff. But anywho, so I got their kit and I liked it. But I ordered the liquid yeast, which is like the first liquid yeast I ever bought. So like that might be why I like it better. But I don't know. I've been using it. This is probably the sixth or seventh one. I don't remember now. That I've brewed.
I don't know, 6, 7. No, don't do it.
Well, this is just the fifth one.
Okay.
So it's the fifth one I've done, and I actually washed and reused my yeast. I didn't split it. So I just poured in like all like 10 billion yeast follicles or whatever the hell they're called.
Cells.
So it kicked off immediately and it was done in like, it was like a Kveik yeast, basically. It was done in like 4.5 days.
Just ripped it all the shreds out. That's pretty
And
cool.
it was like, it went down to, I think I said it went down to like 1.1 or 0.001 or whatever, 1.01. It was ridiculously low.
Are they getting drier?
No, not that I know of. It's
okay.
1.006 is what this one ended at. So it might be getting drier, but it's still refreshing, I guess.
Okay.
It's sweet. It's still sweet though, so I guess it's not that dry.
Gotcha.
Or I can just taste the hops and stuff, but I've really enjoyed it. It's been a favorite of most people.
Right. No, it's good. I've had it. Yeah, it's really good.
On.
So let's talk about
the like worst one.
So let's talk about the disaster. So you mentioned in the forum, and I reread it because I didn't know parts of this details, or at least I forgot over the time now, that you bought about, was it? So you mentioned losing about 5 gallons of good beer to an Amazon failed purchase. So what happened there?
So I don't know if you've talked about it yet, but you make a good house beer. Your house beer that I've gotten like 3 or 4 times has been your blueberry honey ale. And I wanted to recreate it with a little bit of my like flair, but not much of my flair. I wanted, because I liked the beer, so I'm like, I'm just going to try it and see if it gets there. So I made the blueberry is just like an additive at the end of the thing. It's like you don't brew with it or anything, because I think that's the biggest thing I'm afraid of, is trying to use fruit in any kind of thing, because I've heard horror stories of it staining, basically ruining equipment, depending on what you're doing, and then going from there. So I was like, I'll just use an extract at the end. But I brew the honey, basically ale, and it comes out like crystal clear. Like I would say it was clearer than this. Like it was just a big golden, it was like flat and warm. It was like tasty. I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. So then I didn't, for some reason, buy the extract from More Beer when I got all the other stuff. I think I was like clicking on it, and then I canceled that order and then came back and got all the stuff, because I was like, I gotta look again or something. So I was like, oh shit, I'll just get it from Amazon. And then I went on Amazon and I like typed in blueberry extract, and then like the first thing that comes up, it's got 25,000 reviews, and it was like 4.99 stars. I was like, all right, cool, click buy, go. And then I get it, I dump it in, and I was like, that was awfully like purple. I was like, I was expecting like a light, like bluish tint maybe, but it was like black basically is how dark that was. I was like, whatever. And then I went to go aerate it, and then like when I wanted to go drew a sample, and then I like did like push the ball lock on it, like sprayed a little bit, and it just turned everything like black, and I was like, what did I do? And I was like, I poured a sample, and it was the most bitter, disgusting thing I've ever had. It tasted like, essentially, if you were to like pulp all the blueberries, like take everything that's good about a blueberry and then just like leave the rest. That was what it kind of tasted like. Just a super bitter, gross, dark mess. And then I was like, I grabbed the little bottle, and I'm like, blueberry extract substitute. Oh no. So I'm like looking at it like, oh, this isn't blueberry extract. It's like somebody didn't want to use blueberry extract, so they found a substitute, which I'm guessing is the pulped versions of the stuff. And it's probably like 10 times more potent because of that. So I'm like, well, that was fun. And then I read that or you were telling me that um, I could probably add some lactose to it to like kind of calm it down, to like take the acidity and the bitterness out and like give it like a little smoother flavor. So then I started like, all right, so I got a pound of it, and I was like reading a thing, and I was like, yeah, I'll do this. And then like everything I was saying is like, oh, you can add up to whatever it was. So I like tried it to begin with. I mixed it in and tasted it. And I'm like, well, this is good. And then I was just like, well, screw it, and poured the whole pound into the 5-gallon thing. And then I told Jeremy, he's like, you're going to have the shits. Like never, ever pour more than like,
it's like 4 ounces
whatever,
or something like
4
that.
ounces
Yeah,
for
so
5
much,
gallons.
yeah.
So I was like, whoopsies. Well, needless to say, that beer didn't last very long because it actually wasn't terrible. But then it settled back out or something. I don't know what happened, or like maybe all of the lactose fell to the bottom and like the first few were just like full of lactose. And then like once I got past it, it was gross. And then I opened it up and it was just like all that pulp shit was all stuck to the inside of my thing, and I was really, really pissed off, and I just like dumped it. I was at it was like a party we were hosting, and I went down there to like have one of my friends try it, and then I'm like, nope, and then dumped it all out. And
Sorry.
stained the sink, stained the floor, stained literally everything that blue touched. I was very, very angry. I may or may not have been inebriated at that point, but I was unhappy.
So that's a great story, and then I definitely want you to talk about like another one. I don't have it in my notes. It was a one-off, something I don't know if you'll be ever to recreate. It was a cloche as well. It was a red cloche, right?
Yeah. I was like, it was, I don't remember when I first started doing this, but it was like it'll tell you in here, 8/31/2024-ish, somewhere in there.
Just a little over a year ago, yeah.
Yeah. So, I was like buying kits because that was like the brew in a bag kit basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like nothing crushed because I had the mill and everything that I got from that guy. So I was just like, I bought a Irish red because I like those, and then I bought Kolsch, and I was like, yeah, I got it. And then I got it back, and I'm looking at the thing, and I'm like, this says red, but like the picture had like a golden ale thing. It really kind of irritated me. I don't know if I still have the thing. I don't. But basically the picture, they use the same picture.
Mm-hmm.
But like it just said red up here, and I wasn't paying attention and ordered it. And it was the very first thing I was doing. I was like, Angela invited like people over, and we were like, all right, let's have a fun night. And then it was like me stressfully panicking in the like my first day brewing, and people were over, and I was embarrassed and angry. And then like I read, like it was like, if you're brewing in a kettle, use 3 gallons. I was like, okay, so I used 3 gallons. Well, it didn't even like wet the top of the, like I couldn't get enough stuff in there. So like panicking, like filling up bottles, pouring it in there, to get to 5.5 gallons. And then it maybe, when it was all said and done, brewed like 3 gallons of this thing. So like it was super concentrated. I feel like it was probably close to like 8% ABV, and it was supposed to be like 5. It was ridiculous. Yeah, let's see. I might not even have written it down because I was just like, because I was using like the little things that they give you.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't even the first one. Yeah, no, it was. Anywho, but yeah, it was really like high ABV, but then it was phenomenal, and I'm like, well, I'll never be able to recreate this one. But it was no bueno. I had no fun. That was like so from there, I had a stuck mash. Where like basically it wasn't pulling any, because like the all-in-ones will pull from the bottom and then like spray it onto the top at a lower speed. You like turn it down. Well, it was like stalling that, like, so like basically it was burning the shit on the bottom, and nothing was getting through the mash because it was just so thick. And that was when I just had to constantly stir it. Like every like 3 to 5 minutes I would stir it for an hour, and I'm like, this is no fun. I don't like this game. And because I actually still brew in a bag, even though I don't need to. I just feel like it makes more sense. I tried to not do that once, and that failed also, but not because I'm an idiot, and not because of the actual software, not software, but the hardware was fine. I'm just like,
User
Yeah. Basically, I lifted up there's like a mash tube that sits in there, and then the bottom
Right.
is not solid, so you can wash it easier. But I think when I picked it up and then it floated back down, that tipped on its
The lip.
side. So like when I
Yeah.
dumped stuff in there, it was just like, all right, well, it's all through, and there's no separation of anything, and it got stuck, and it was in the pump and everything, and I had to blow air backwards through the pump to get it to like get out of there, and
Oh gosh.
I just
Oh,
gave
man.
up. I gave up on that one.
And so you brought up that you've had company over on your first day of home brewing. Have you had the opportunity to have someone else come over and kind of show them how to homebrew or get things started? How did that go?
Well, that last story was the second time I had it happen, was when we had our buddy Jason over, and he got to experience Angry Mike and a uncomfortable throwing out of all the beer. But the first time I did it actually was a Scotch ale with my dad, and I wasn't 100% sure of what I was doing, but I knew I needed to add more water. So I added like 6.5 or almost 7 gallons of water. But then I also had to add 19 pounds of grain for I think it was like a 9.5% Scotch ale. And that went all the way up to the top of the thing. And I also still had the stuck mash, so I had to constantly stir it because it would go, it would like, you could see it like, so you had probably about an inch of space between the top of the, like the top of the kettle and like then like I would see it go like to about like a quarter of an inch. I'd stir it, it'd go back down, then it'd get back up. So like that was stressful, but that actually turned out, I think, really good. And I think so one of the other things I think that that allow me to kind of continue doing this is the fact that I don't bottle. I absolutely hate bottling it. I can't get that damn thing to work. I tried another like big giant one, and that like dented the caps and didn't seal right. So I don't know if I'm Hulk smashing it or what, but like because I'm able to use the keezer, I feel like it makes this hobby a lot easier to kind of manage, because then you're just cleaning one vessel for serving out of, basically, and then cleaning the taps isn't very hard. I actually hooked up like a little pump to like a bucket that I just open the tap and it pours in there, and it just kind of constantly pours through it. But then I had it like dripping through like a coffee filter to catch any like chunks and stuff. But I use like it's not BPW, but it's
is it beer line?
Yeah, I think so.
Chemicals,
There's like a little thing to try and clean it. So I do that.
Caustic or something like that.
I do that like probably between each change of beer, like whatever the beer type is. I'll change it, but not like if something's constantly on there for like a month, or like a 4 or 5 months, I probably should do it, but I don't clean it in between. I don't clean it if it's the same exact thing on there for the entire time.
I think I do every other beer. Like I'll at least run hot water through my lines or PBW just to kind of do a quick clean. But if I'm changing complete style, so let's say I went from a lager to a stout and went back to a lager, I would definitely clean the lines to get rid of like any of the stout residuals. But I mean, I have pretty good lines now, so I don't have to worry about that. I have the Kegland, whatever they called, the barrier tubing or whatever it is.
But you went for the push fit.
Yeah,
one?
So I'm slowly getting there because they're not horribly expensive, but when you start to build all your set, all of a sudden you're like almost $200, like going, okay, I don't want to spend $200. Let me just buy what I need. So all my beer lines are that way. My gas line isn't yet, but I do want to build a manifold using the dual tight stuff, because they actually have like regulators and stuff like that, which are like $20 a pop. But I was thinking, well, I probably need 4 regulators, but that's $80 right there. So like, oh my gosh, I mean, that's not even throwing in all the other stuff that I need. But
yeah. I wanted to do that too. I have like half duotite. Like I have like one line coming off that is like, I go to my water. So I do seltzer water in my kegerator too. So I basically just have it charged, basically just straight tap water, and then in a corny keg. And then after about like 2 days of being on like 35 pounds of pressure, it's like carbonated water that is delicious. So I always have that in there. So like technically, and it's not because I ran out of stuff. I have it inside the kegerator in a gun that I have to like squeeze it in there.
Hey, that works, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that line. So I have one line I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 regulators in there right now.
Wow.
But I have like they're like one of them I got for like the other line is giant and I hate it, but I paid like $150 for it because I'm like, oh, I need to have 3 different things. But the reality is I really didn't. I probably could have just had everything running at like 10 psi and it'd have been fine. And then just get like it'd have been cheaper for me to get adjustable taps than it would have been to like have done what I did.
Probably. Yeah, I would say so.
And I regret it.
You regret it.
I regret my shank. My shank I got because they didn't have any that I wanted when I bought it. But I was like, oh, I need to get it all together for some stupid reason. And then proceeded to not build my kegerator for like a year and a half. So I could have just bought the ones I wanted, but now I have a 6-inch shank that sticks out the back. Like it goes through like 2.5 inches of like insulation, and then it sticks out like into my kegerator a good 4 inches.
Remember we talked about these. You asked me what size I had. I'm like, I don't know. I have to go measure real quick. I think mine are 4 inches, if I remember correctly. So, do you have any advice for somebody who's thinking about brewing their first batch?
Well, I would say the same thing with a 3D printer. Find somebody else that has one or does it, and then kind of see if you can shadow them.
Okay, that's good.
I think that I didn't do that. I shadowed somebody a long time ago and knew that wasn't what I wanted to do because they were doing it on their kitchen stove and they made like 4 gallons, and I saw them like transferring all this shit into like bottles, and I'm like, this is so much more work than I'm willing to put in for like the same price essentially, depending on what kind of beer you're brewing. So I would recommend, if you know you like craft beer, I would probably recommend trying to find one of these all-in-ones used on eBay or Marketplace or something. Or even like, because some of the breweries have like classes. And I've seen one of the breweries in Saginaw up here, they have like, you can come in and brew something. It's like $300 or something, but you can brew like literally anything. And it makes, I think they said they make 10 gallons maybe. So like you could do like a super stout and get 10 or 15 gallons of it, but they're giant things. So like that might be a fun way of doing it, but I mean, that's not cheap, but because you could buy a all-in-one for that.
Right. Yeah. So I guess I guess the other part of that question, like, oh, let's say they have like $500, like, what kind of equipment could they potentially buy? But you already brought the all-in-one, so that might be a big chunk of that $500 budget right there to even use. I think it still seems like $300, the people still want.
I would highly recommend not buying anybody's old equipment. Most of that stuff should basically be free. Those glass carboys are terrifying. And then like the opening is maybe like the top of it's about this big, but the opening is probably only like,
they're not that very big. Yeah.
So like you can't, I don't want to say it takes a lot to mess up a beer, but you can do a lot of stupid shit like I did the first time, do everything possibly wrong and still get a beer out of it that was probably the best accident that'll ever happen. So like, it's hard to say one way or another. The funny thing is I actually got my cousin who was down here for a couple of weeks. He drank, I think, 5 gallons of my cider while he was here. And now he's fermenting cider in his closet at his house in Arizona. So like, if you like cider, it'll scratch a little bit of an itch for a lot cheaper. And you don't have to kind of do the brew day stuff. So like if your wife or somebody likes cider, that might be a good way to kind of get into the industry, because you'll need a lot of the same stuff, like the cleaning supplies and like fermenting vessel. Like you can get those ones that I talked about. That's like a 2-gallon turno. I don't know. They're like it's like a brown.
Yeah, it's keg lane something. I don't know why I can't remember what it's called.
But so they have those. I think that those are a good investment because you can actually serve out of those too. If you get CO2, like you can like get a normal size CO2 cartridge and like serve out of those. So they have like 1-gallon ones, 2-gallon ones, and 5-gallon ones, I think. So there's just a lot of cool shit that goes along with it. And you can start building your collection. And then if you do want to brew a beer, then you'll have a lot of like the small stuff, like you'll have your hydrometers, your other things like that you would need to kind of test the ABV. But I think that's where I would start, and that's actually where I did start. We we fermented cider in like 2020 was the first time I did that with those ciders from that place down
the Apple Barn.
yeah.
Yep.
So that was the very first thing that I tried, and that was 7/27/20, it looks like. Then I bottled it and pasteurized it. That was a big pain in the ass, but
Yeah, I don't pasteurize. I just
do what you do. Right. That's what I'm like. That's what I told my cousin. I'm like, just keep it in the fridge after you're done. Even you could reuse the bottle it came in to like store it in the fridge if you're going to just do that. You're not going to, so if you don't keg it essentially or have it on a keezer, it's not going to be carbonated, but it's not carbonated in bottles typically.
No, it's not. I like mine carbonated. I like the effervescence you get from it or whatever.
Me too.
So what is the biggest myth or misconception about homebrewing?
That you can't make a good beer, I think. That like it's going to be cloudy and taste very microbrew.
Right.
Like a microbrew in like the 2000s was a completely different thing than it is now, I think.
100% it is. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think you can make I feel like you brought up kits before. I think kits is another good option as well too. Even an extract kit would be fine because it's, especially if you don't have all the extra stuff that you need, like we were talking about earlier. Like an extract will get you started. It'll make a beer, and some of it is actually really good beer. My cousin Scott, that's pretty much what he does for the most part, is extract kits for the most part. And I didn't know they were extracts, but I've never bought those either, so I wasn't 100% sure. But they're really, really good. But I also think being methodical about cleaning, like sanitation is like the biggest thing that one individual should do if they think about getting into this hobby, right? You want to make sure everything's sanitized, because you have to remember you're essentially making food at the end of the day for the most part. Doing a lot of dishes, but you're making food. Oh man, this has been great so far. Thank you very much for doing this. I have another question, and so you've answered a lot of my questions right here. I'm scrolling through, and I was like, I can't ask this or this or this. Another elephant in the room. People don't know this, but you're a part of Pints with Pals podcast. Can you tell us about that?
And welcome back to Pints with Pals. This is your host, Mike, and join with me today
it's Jeremy.
I don't know which way it was now.
Just do the scarecrow.
Yeah, I think that was that's why like the setup is the way it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to my light. That was a technical difficulty.
But
yeah, we decided that we would basically do this. It's weird in an interview situation to like have somebody that I've talked to like 2 to 3 times a week for the last 10 years
easily
be asking me questions that I'm pretty sure he already knows the answers to. But yeah, so at Pints with Pals, we're basically, there's 5 seasons of it. We didn't get a following. We didn't really kind of follow up. It's not that it fell apart. I think that it was just a little bit more difficult because we were trying to drink the same exact beer, and then just kind of discuss it. And I think that the concept still works, but we would have to have more of a preparation. And then the other issue is that if we get like 10 or 15 beers and or 15 beers and each episode's only 10 episodes long or something, and then we have 5 beers left over, and then it's like 10 to 12 weeks, and then those beers are just sitting there for like a year and a half, and you're like, this is chunky now.
Yeah,
like
it's kind of gross.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a fun podcast that there's like 100 and I don't know. There's
quite a few. Yeah.
There's 5 seasons. The first season I think was 25, and then the rest
Something
of them
like
are 15.
15. Yeah.
So there's like 75 episodes somewhere in there.
I'm currently working on shorts. I have a bunch that can already uploaded. They're not live yet, but I'm working on those. We don't have to talk about this here, but we definitely need to talk about Pints with Pals again off this.
Yeah, I feel like it's fun. I think that we would still, I don't know. Part of me would like to have done something like this where we interviewed like brewers, not necessarily home brewers as much, but like some of the like major breweries that are local to you and local to me. But I think that just kind of getting awareness out there, because the industry itself is dying. Kids today aren't going out for a pint with their pals anymore.
No,
Um, and technically neither are we based
right.
on that, because we're drinking in front of a camera, just talking about it. But the bar industry and like the homebrew industry and the microbrew
Yeah,
industry,
it's all
everything
dipped a lot. Yeah.
is kind of yeah dipping down because people just can't afford it, and that's fine. It I get it, and you do you, but uh like it'll suck to lose some of these super pro like delicious beer brewers
Yeah.
to a then we'll just have nothing. We'll just only have PBR and Schlitz.
Schlitz malt liquor. So yeah, yeah, because we've lost one, two, three breweries in my general area. But some people said we may have been a little oversaturated, but I also think, like you said, I think the trend has died down quite a bit. I feel like the younger generation that is drinking tasty beverages are pretty much doing like cocktails in the can because it kind of suits their needs. I've talked to some not homebrew, but craft brewery owners, and it definitely seems to be more the sweeter style stuff is selling. Like seltzers, they want to make it a little sweeter, or pastry beers a little sweeter. Like, flagship beers are not always selling as well as they once were. And I definitely feel bad for them too. You see the struggle, but then all of a sudden you hear like I read the news the other day, like Yingling is opening up two new plants in the Midwest. I'm like,
Well, they just started
okay,
shipping to Michigan for the first time
yeah,
in a long time. And like I was sitting at the bar the other day and I watched them pour Yingling after Yingling after Yingling. And I'm like, it's not that good. It's just new. Like it's fine.
exactly. That's what it is new. Yeah, I can't drink Yingling after a couple years ago. I got way too wasted.
Yingling gives me a massive headache. I can drink like
Okay,
one or two of them, then I just get a massive headache. I don't know if it's because
that's
it's a full beer instead of like a light beer, but like it gave me like a hangover
that's
before I was even done
interesting.
drinking.
That does suck. Yeah. No, I've had certain ciders will do that to me, and that is a common thing after like a lot of research, and I don't remember what it is. I'm sure somebody will put it down in the comment sections, or please put it in the comment sections. But my first couple of ciders I made, I got headaches from. But I noticed if I put adjuncts in them, so like meaning like strawberries or lemons or fruit stuff like that, like I don't get that headache. So I don't know what chemical reaction is happening. I use essentially the same yeast. I love Kvike yeast. It's very expensive, and I totally understand that part. But Kvike doesn't impart any other flavors. It's very bland. So like if I would, because I've used champagne yeast, and that could have been it. And I've used wine yeast. I've used
I was gonna say the champagne yeast is what gave me a headache. I think it's a lot to do with the yeast.
yeah, and it very well could be. So with Kvike, I've been good, but I also still blend stuff. I don't drink straight up hard cider. I probably could. I would just back sweeten it because I like mine semi-sweet to sweet. That's how I like my ciders. I just as my preferred taste. I don't like dry ciders. I don't like that. I don't like my mouth feeling drier than it was when I first swallowed something. If my saliva is wetter than the drink, I guess you have a problem with it. Uh, so
Why you don't like bourbon?
oh well, okay. So I'm gonna bring this up. I'm getting better with bourbon. I still, when I try it straight up, it is 100% bad decisions and regret. That's all I taste. I wouldn't mind developing the palate for it. It's just, I think me and you and potentially my cousin Scott could do like the bourbon trail and try again. I'm definitely down to do it again. I think it would be fun if we could do like a long weekend or something like that. And
Yeah,
actually,
that's all you need for down there. It's
and
really expensive, and that's what I don't like.
yeah,
Like it was considerably more expensive there than it is in like the Ann Arbor area. Like we were getting the same pours for like a third the price. Like it was like $15 in Ann Arbor, and it was like $35 to $50 in Kentucky.
I don't remember what we paid.
Sense.
I thought it was decent, but it could be wrong.
We weren't in like the Bourbon Row or whatever. I feel like it was way more expensive in Lexington or in Louisville, Lowville.
Lowville. Yeah. I think, yeah, we had some pretty interesting stuff there. That's when I discovered I prefer rye whiskey over bourbon. And I don't think I got that dill flavor, but I definitely got like rye bread notes. Like, and I do definitely like rye bread. So I think that's why I enjoy that. So we're gonna get to like a little fun section right here. This is just a rapid fire. First thing that comes to your mind, give me an answer. So and here we go. Hazy or clear?
Clear.
Bottle or can?
Bottle?
Favorite beer style?
Probably lager.
Favorite beer glass?
This one?
Pintish, I guess in a way, yeah.
Yeah,
call that.
this is like a 20-ounce pint, but yeah.
There you go. That's why I like it. 20 ounces of the week 16. Whiskey or beer?
Probably whiskey at this point.
Okay.
I can drink it slower. If I drink beer, I drink a lot of it typically.
I thought that this was going to be interesting. Favorite whiskey to pair with a stout?
Like a barrel aged version, or to like drink it with it?
I think to drink with it.
I would probably just do Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
Most likely.
There you go. Perfect. One brewing trend you would like to see go away?
IPAs.
That's a bold statement right there.
Every one of them. No, to be fair, I know this is rapid fire, but to be fair, I think that there's just too many of them. Like do like one or two good ones, and I'll like do a tropical and a normal, or a like three. Do like New England IPA. Yeah. Do like three. But don't make like, we went to breweries and like literally they had 10 things on tap and 9 of them were IPAs, and I'm like, I get it, you're fancy and it's hard to do, but like I think that that's what's kind of pushing like other people out of this, like out of thinking like microbrews are good, because like I feel like you can hide a little bit of off flavors in dry hopping essentially. So like if you have something that doesn't quite taste as good and you add another hop to it and you made like whatever it was into an IPA now, and I'm like, but sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Nothing wrong with that. What is one trend you would like to see come back?
I don't know that I recognize anything that's gone. You mean in
for beer?
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything that's gone. Maybe lighter beers.
Okay.
It's hard to make a light beer in a brewery essentially. And I think that they need like a light, crisp, easy drinker.
Yeah.
I don't feel like barely any breweries have that are like smaller. And then you start getting to the bigger ones, like you start getting into they start to lean toward an IPA still. That they're like, it's crisp hoppy flavor. I'm like, well, I don't want that.
Yeah, no, I've had my fair share of those. Like I had a dry hop Pilsner. It wasn't bad. I enjoyed it for what it was, but then you think of a Pilsner. I know what a Pilsner should taste like, and should drink. Like, well, this hop's really throwing me off, but it worked with it at the end of the day. So, okay, we're just going to get down to like a couple wrap-up questions. Who would you like me to interview next?
I would like to see you interview the brewer from, you can see it. I have Hailstorm. Yeah. It's that super big thing. I talked to the guys there. They were actually really cool.
Hailstorm. Okay.
It's a relatively small brewery, but they make one of the best barrel-aged beers I've ever had. The rest of their beer is pretty decent too.
Is there any upcoming events or releases you're looking forward to before the new year starts?
Not before the new year. You mean 2027? Because this is...
Well,
gonna no. I think that they just released the 2025 version of the Bourbon County, so that's out right now.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So like, yeah, they actually made them in instead of 12-ounce bottles. Now they're in like smaller ones, so they're like a 4-pack of smaller than 12-ounce bottles now, so it's kind of nice.
7 ounce?
Or maybe they're 12-ounce. They might be 12-ounce bottles, but
I think
they're
20 to begin with.
Ones. Yeah,
or something like that. Yeah, so 16 or 20. They're fairly big. Is there a recipe you would like to share with the audience? So what I'm doing is I'm collecting recipes from everyone at that interview. I'm gonna throw them into a Google Drive so people can be like, "Oh, I listened to Mike Burke. He likes to make this cloche. I can just go and grab that cloche and I can go make that."
Yeah, the cloche that the one that I do is just a kit from Moore. I bought the kit once, and then you have all the ingredients enlisted. So I've been buying those ingredients separately, and it's like $22, and I reuse my yeast, and it's been one of my favorite beers. So I would I would tell that I would tell people to brew that if that's going to be one of their first beers.
Yeah, just send me that link and we'll kind of make that happen. Well, on that note, Mike, this has been fun for me. I had a blast. I'm sure you did as well. We always do have a good time regardless. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you. Cheers, and I'll see you later,
Cheers.
buddy.
Thanks.